Welcome to Ravenbrooks, the little town in Missouri that is mostly known for housing a popular candy company known as the Golden Apple Corporation. The company belongs to an uber-rich charity organization known as the Tavish Society. Ironically, these guys are murderers and form a cult named the Ravens. The Raven cultists do secret rituals in Ravenbrooks. These rituals make the cultists extremely lucky. That explains how the Raven cultists are so filthy rich. Although there is a fallout to these rituals. They curse the entire town with bad luck and trigger very dangerous storms. These storms eventually catch in the 1960s the attention of two meteorologists named Roger and Adele Peterson, who built a weather station in the woods of the town. Roger and Adele find out about the cult, but they unfortunately can't expose it. Because the Raven cultists are so lucky, there have been rumors about Roger and Adele being mad scientists and may be responsible for the storms. The rumors give bad reputation to the meteorologists and make it so if Roger or Adele tries to tell the town folks anything about the cult, they wouldn't believe them. The Raven cultists also start a myth known as the Forest Protectors. The rumors has it that there is half human, half crow creatures roaming the forest. The rumors goes to basically make people afraid to go to the woods and to make it so if someone finds a Raven cultist in their black cloak, they will believe they found a monster instead of a cult. By the way, all of this doesn't really matter to the current lore but may be relevant for later. Roger and Adele had a son named Theodore who leaves Ravenbrooks after college years. Fast forward 25 years later, Roger and Adele die and Ted becomes a famous theme park designer, specialized in designing innovative rides for amusement parks. He also starts a family with a wife named Diane, a son named Aaron, and a daughter named Maya. In 1991, Ted Peterson gets a job offer from the mayor of Ravenbrooks, who asks him to design a multi-million-dollar theme park for the Golden Apple Corporation. Ted accepts the job and moves to Ravenbrooks with his family. However, the mayor only gives him a few months to design the park, which forces Ted to rush the making of the park. Aaron and Maya also make a few friends around. He becomes friends with a boy of Aaron's age named Enzo, his little sister of Maya's age, Maritza, and a 7-year-old girl named Lucy. Fast forward to a few months later, at the opening day of the park, the Raven cultist is still a thing, and the cultists try to kill Mr. Peterson's family because they think the family knows about the cult. So they try to set up an accident at the park using the rituals in order to kill Mr. Peterson's daughter, Maya, but because the rituals didn't go well, it instead killed Lucy in a roller coaster crash. Despite everyone putting Mr. Peterson at blame for the tragedy, because he made the right, the state found the Golden Apple Corporation responsible for the death of Lucy. So the Golden Apple Corporation goes bankrupt. Mr. Peterson only loses his career, doesn't go to jail, but Aaron and Maya lose their friends. Fast forward 3 years later, a new kid named Nicky Ruff moves in Ravenbrooks with his family. He meets Aaron and the two become besties. Nicky also becomes friends with Enzo and Maritza, but one day Mr. Peterson gets into an unfortunate car crash with his wife, which kills her off. And while Mr. Peterson mostly fell into deep depression because of it, Aaron started developing anger issues and became aggressive towards his sister. But after bullying her a little too hard one day, Aaron accidentally kills his sister by pushing her off the house's rooftop. Just like that, Mr. Peterson lost half of the only people he ever cared for in the span of a week, which turns him insane and paranoid. This is the point where Mr. Peterson gradually turns into the creepy neighbor we are all familiar with. While his wife had funerals, Mr. Peterson secretly buried his daughter in his backyard, because if he went public with another death of his family, he could get in trouble and possibly lose custody of his son. Speaking of Aaron, Mr. Peterson decides that he will now do whatever it takes to keep his son safe, starting off by locking him in his basement. He also reports both of his children as missing so that no one will suspect him of having captured his own son. And everyone goes along with it except Nicky, aka Aaron's bestie, who believes that Mr. Peterson murdered his own kids. For the following months, Nicky has been investigating Mr. Peterson for most of his time. A new girl named Trinity Bells moves in town with her family. One day, Nicky witnesses Mr. Peterson wrestling with his son in his house. Unfortunately, Aaron is thrown right back into the basement, however this time in front of Nicky's eyes. Nicky then decides to try and save Aaron all by himself because the adults won't do anything, but he unfortunately gets captured in a way. Enzo and Maritza, Trinity, and I guess this kid, then form the Rescue Squad, a little private club where the kids investigate Mr. Peterson to try and find Nicky and possibly Aaron and Maya. 2 months later, Nicky escapes the Peterson house with the help of Aaron. However, Aaron stood behind to occupy his father, and by time for Nicky to escape. Aaron felt so guilty for killing his sister that he wanted to make sure Nicky escapes first. Then this new journalist named Quentin moves in Ravenbrooks due to a job opening and investigate the missing case of Aaron and Maya. He witnesses Mr. Peterson abducting his son into his house. Mr. Peterson deletes the evidence without having to kill Quentin, then runs away from police by taking his son to an abandoned museum. But after Quentin finds Aaron, Mr. Peterson gets injured and Aaron refuses to leave his father because number 1, he loved his father, number 2, he feels too guilty for killing his sister, and number 3, he knows that his father kept him behind bars to protect him. So Aaron refuses to leave his father, the two get into an embrace, and what the hell is happening anymore? 20 and 30 years later, Nicky, after growing up in a city far from Ravenbrooks, gets kicked out of his apartment, goes back to Ravenbrooks, faces off his trauma, and that's where the whole lore of Hello Neighbor currently lives off.